to WNBA Fight Night, or as some people are saying, WNBA Raw. What a game that was. We had it all. We had basketball, we had fighting, we had blonde on blonde crime. Oh, such an epic. Oh, goodness.
When the face of your league gets poked in the eye, blindsided from behind, shoved to the floor, and then penalized for reacting, you've lost control. Tuesday night was supposed to be about basketball, about competition, about the Indiana Fever advancing to the Commissioner's Cup Championship. But that's not what people are talking about today. They're talking about blood boiling, about chaos, about a coach who finally said what everyone's been thinking, that WNBA officiating has hit rock bottom, that Caitlin Clark is being hunted game after game, and the league is letting it happen. And the worst part? It's not just the fans who noticed. The league's own coaches are now daring the WNBA to punish them because someone had to speak out. Let's rewind this disaster, because what happened in Indiana wasn't just a bad night. It might go down as the night the WNBA lost the plot.
Is there and what explanation were you given for the tech that you got?
I'll take the official questions. There wasn't an explanation for the tech that she got. You know, I think it was pretty obvious that stuff was brewing, right? When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long.
From the very first quarter, Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White was sounding the alarm. She approached the refs. She spoke calmly, but her words were blunt. This is going to escalate if you don't get control of it, and they didn't. After the game, her frustration boiled over in front of the media. It's been happening all season long, White said. When the officials don't get control of the game, this is what happens. And by this, she meant a basketball game descending into a bar fight. This wasn't just about one bad call. This was about a pattern. Weeks of targeted hits, weeks of no calls, weeks of Caitlin Clark getting punished for being the most popular and most hated player in the league.
This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete and they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen.
Let's go to the third quarter. Caitlin Clark is handling the ball near the top of the key. J.C. Sheldon is guarding her closely. Too closely. Contact builds. The crowd murmurs. Then it happens. Sheldon swipes, and her fingers jab Clark directly in the eye. Clark grabs her face, clearly in pain. It wasn't incidental contact. This was aggressive, and it looked intentional. And what does Clark do? She pushes Sheldon away. Instinctively, anyone would. The refs blow the whistle, and then they do the unthinkable. They hit Clark with a technical foul. That's right. The player who just got poked in the eye was penalized. Not for starting it, not for retaliating violently, just for defending herself. The moment went viral. Fans couldn't believe it. Broadcasters were stunned, and yet the worst was still to come.
What is this right here, fam? No way you just reach for Caitlin's eyes like that. Her face, whatever the case may be. You reach for her head and you scratch her.
Just seconds later, while tensions were still high, Marina Mabry, a player not even involved in the original exchange, made her move. She ran full speed toward Caitlin Clark and launched a shoulder-first body check from behind. Clark hit the floor hard. The crowd erupted in boos. Even the announcers gasped. One commentator said it looked like an NFL safety blowing up a wide receiver across the middle. There was no flop, one fan wrote. Mabry just exploded through her like a linebacker. And what did the refs call? A technical foul. That's it. Not a flagrant, not an ejection, just a technical. And Mabry remained in the game like nothing happened. The crowd was furious. Every time she touched the ball, the boos rained down like thunder. Clark, still on the floor, shaken.
Marina Mabry body checking Caitlin Clark to the ground. J.C. Sheldon all over her. Riding her. Pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye. Oh, man. Caitlin Clark needs to start wearing goggles, folks. Caitlin Clark's going to need to start wearing goggles. Bumps up on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark says, "Get your hands off me." And then here comes Marina Mabry. Boom! Exploding Caitlin Clark like a safety coming downhill in the NFL. There was no flop there.
Fast forward to the fourth quarter. The game is basically over. The Fever are up 87-70. JC Sheldon gets a steal and breaks for a transition layup. Sophie Cunningham is the only defender back. She does what a lot of players do. She wraps up Sheldon to stop the easy bucket. It was hard, yes, but not dirty. And yet, Sophie gets hit with a flagrant 2 and is immediately ejected. Let's pause here. Earlier, Marina Mabrey blindsided Caitlin Clark from behind and wasn't ejected. But Cunningham, making a textbook take foul, gets tossed. This wasn't about safety. This was about narrative. Cunningham's play looked dramatic. Mabrey's? That was personal. And the refs didn't seem to care. It exposed the league's warped logic. Targeted attacks? Stay in the game. Hard basketball fouls? Get out.
This is, of course, Sophie and Sheldon going down the floor. Sophie tries to wrap her up, and Sheldon gets to the floor, and all hell breaks loose. And Sophie said, "I'm not having it."
After the game, Stephanie White stepped up to the microphone. She wasn't flustered. She wasn't angry. She was done. Bad officiating is bad officiating, she said, and everybody's getting better, except the officials. White wasn't just speaking for herself. She was speaking for every coach who's watched their players get assaulted with no consequence. We've been saying the same thing at every league meeting, fall and spring, she said, and nothing changes. This was no outburst. This was years of frustration boiling over. The game is faster, players are better, more physical, more skilled, but the refs haven't evolved. And then came the dagger. The ref's job is hard, but it's not getting done.
Every year when we have our league meetings in the fall and in the spring, we say the same thing over and over and over. And nothing has changed. So, I'm not sure outside of continuing to submit clips, continuing to talk about it. Like, look, their job is hard. Their job is hard. Their job is hard, right? Their job is hard. The game has changed so much. Players are faster, they're better, they're bigger, they're stronger. They're as good as they've ever been. They're as athletic as they've ever been. The game is fast now. Things are happening quickly. Everybody's getting better, except the officials.
Let's talk numbers. Caitlin Clark has drawn more flagrant fouls this season than any other player in the WNBA, and that's not just bad luck. She's being targeted. Opponents aren't just playing tough defense. They're sending messages. They're trying to rattle her, injure her, break her, and the league? They've done almost nothing. In fact, Clark has received more technical fouls than most for simply reacting after getting fouled. This isn't just a failure of officiating, it's a failure of leadership. When your biggest star, the reason attendance and ratings are breaking records, gets punished for being the victim, you don't have a discipline problem, you have a credibility crisis.
Coach, do you think it's something pertaining to your team, or do you think this is a league-wide issue?
Well, I've seen quite a few dust-ups in the league so far, so I think it's a league-wide issue. I mean, bad officiating is bad officiating.
This wasn't just about one game. This was a warning shot. Coaches are speaking up even though they know they'll be fined. Stephanie White has already been fined once this season for criticizing refs. She did it again anyway because, as she said, it was worth it. The fans see what's happening, sponsors see it, and the players know if the WNBA doesn't get this right, the consequences won't just be about officiating, they'll be about survival. Because if Clark gets seriously injured, if another blindside hit connects, this league could collapse under the weight of its own inaction.
And I called Stephanie White out on social media. I was like, this is the time where you as a coach, you've got to go, and I'm going to go old school, you've got to go full on Bobby Knight, Indiana Hoosiers, showing your ass out there.
Tuesday night's game should have been a celebration. The Indiana Fever had advanced. Caitlin Clark led the way. The team was clicking. The chemistry was real. But no one's talking about that. They're talking about eye pokes, body checks, and a league that couldn't protect its most valuable asset. The message from fans is clear. We're watching, we're paying attention, and we won't ignore double standards. Protecting stars isn't favoritism. It's business, one analyst said. And they're right. Until the WNBA enforces player safety with real consequences and stops penalizing victims, games like this will define the league. Stephanie White said it best, they've got to be better. They have to be better. Because if they're not, they might lose everything.
You could tell it was going to happen. So they got to get control of it. They got to be better. They got to be better.
This wasn't just a fight. This wasn't just a controversial call. This was a turning point. A coach exploded, a fan base erupted, and the world saw a league that desperately needs to grow up and take control. If you're tired of the WNBA ignoring its stars and punishing its heroes, smash that like button, subscribe to Spotlight WNBA, and join the movement. Comment, "Time to protect CEC" if you believe enough is enough. We're not backing down, and neither should the league.